Have you ever wondered where true strength lies hidden? Not in wealth or fame, but deep within us. It's the quiet voice that whispers, "I can," when everything around you screams, "Give up." It is the fire that does not fade in the darkest night. This path, the path to oneself, to an unbreakable spirit, is not always easy. It demands the courage to face our own weaknesses. But it is on this very path, through trial and pain, that we find not just luck, but something far more valuable, ourselves. A strong soul is better than good luck. For the soul is stronger than fortune, said Seneca. It is the soul that leads everything one way or another. It is what makes its own life blessed or miserable. Cato the Younger had enough money to buy fine clothes. And yet, he often walked through Rome barefoot, indifferent to the opinions of others. He could have indulged in exquisite dishes. However, he preferred simple food. In rain and heat, he kept his head uncovered. Why did Cato refuse himself these comforts? Because he was training his soul for endurance and resilience. More precisely, he was learning an attitude of dispassion, to come what may, stance that would later serve him well in the army, in the forum, and in the Senate, and throughout his entire life as a father and a statesman. This training prepared him for any conditions, for any turn of fortune. If we train and prepare ourselves, we too might feel that we have been fortified. The philosopher's school is a hospital. The philosopher's school, men, is a hospital, said Epictetus. You should not leave it feeling pleasure, but pain. For you do not enter it in good health. Have you ever been to a physical therapy session or rehabilitation after an injury? It's not the most pleasant place. Healing, it turns out, hurts. The specialists know exactly where to press to strengthen a patient's weak spots and to stimulate those areas. Stoic philosophy is in some ways similar to this therapeutic massage. Some observations or exercises will touch your sore spots. It's nothing personal. You are supposed to feel the pain. That is how you will develop the will to endure and bear life's many hardships. First and foremost, winter training. We must undergo a difficult winter training, says Epictetus, and not take on matters thoughtlessly for which we are not suited. In ancient times, armies were usually disbanded for the winter. Wars were not the constant combat operations we see today. Rather, they were a series of raids interspersed with occasional decisive battles. When Epictetus uses the Greek word chimaskasai, saying we must undergo harsh winter training, he is rejecting the idea that military service can be a part-time affair. And for that matter, the idea that anything important can be a part-time endeavor. To achieve victory, one must devote all of their time and resources to preparation and training. The basketball player LeBron James doesn't take the summer off, he uses it to work on different aspects of his game. The U.S. Army in peacetime trains its soldiers day and night so they are ready to go to war. And once there, they fight until the hostilities are over. The same applies to us. We cannot operate at half strength. We have no time off, not even weekends. We are always preparing for what life will throw at us, and when it does, we are ready, and we do not stop until we have won. After Commander James Stockdale was shot down over Vietnam, he spent 7.5 years in prison camps. He was brutally tortured, but he always tried to resist. They tried to force him to appear in a propaganda video, but he deliberately inflicted serious injuries on himself to make filming impossible. When his plane was hit, Stockdale told himself, I am entering the world of Epictetus. He wasn't referring to a philosophy seminar. He knew what he would face upon landing, and he knew that survival would not be easy. During an interview with Jim Collins for his classic book, Good to Great, Stockdale spoke about the group of prisoners who had the hardest time. They were the optimists. The ones who would say, we're going to be out by Christmas. Christmas would come, and Christmas would go. Then they'd say, we're going to be out by Easter. And Easter would come, and Easter would go. And then Thanksgiving, and then it would be Christmas again. And they died of a broken heart. But Stockdale endured and was saved. He tempered his desires and focused only on what was within his power, himself. They can chain your body, but not your will. As Epictetus said, you can chain my leg, but my free will, not even Zeus himself can overpower. It is said that Epictetus limped because, as a slave, he had been kept in shackles. 2,000 years later, James Stockdale's legs were also bound in chains, and his arms were tied behind his back and pulled toward the ceiling, repeatedly dislocating his limbs from their sockets. In that same prison was the man who would later become Senator John McCain, and he was treated the same way. McCain's father was a famous and high-ranking military officer, and the Vietnamese repeatedly offered his son the chance to abandon his men and go home. But he did not surrender his free will. He did not give in to temptation, even though it meant losing the physical freedom he was supposed to long for. None of these men broke. No one could force them to compromise their principles. That is the whole point. You can be put in chains, but no one has the power to change who you are. Not even with the most brutal tortures and torments that humans can devise can they break our power over our own mind, our power to make our own decisions. It can only be surrendered by us.